Okay, good evening, everybody. I hope you're not really tired. I mean, it's almost nearing end of the program, but today I will be talking about Branch and how to turn your app into a growth engine. So, that one? All right, thank you. So who am I? Well, I joined Branch Metrics about a year ago. I'm a brand ambassador there, and before that, I worked as a product manager for mobile apps. I developed dozens of iOS apps, Android apps. I know how they work. I know how to grow them. And now, with the help of Branch, I'm helping startups and companies to grow their mobile products. So let's talk about Branch. Has anyone ever heard about Branch Metrics before? That's actually good. Another question, has anyone clicked on a Branch link today? Well, there are some hands. That's interesting, you know that, because statistically, like today, some of you might not know it, but almost like 1/3 of you must have clicked on a Branch deep link today. That's how big we are now. So I'll talk about how Branch was founded. So in 2014, 4 of our co-founders were working on an app project on their grad school. And then when they launched the app, they found out that it wasn't growing. I mean, they were barely finding new users. So they decided to develop a deep linking infrastructure, and that's how Branch was born. 3 years from then, we have 95 employees, 60% of them are in engineering, and more than 20,000 apps are using Branch for their deep linking needs. And our SDK is installed on more than 1 billion devices today. So we're growing like crazy. I mean, this is a mobile conference, so I'm not going to talk about how mobile is really big and how it's growing. We already know that mobile has won. I mean, it's immensely huge and everybody's using it, and it still keeps growing. And what I mean by mobile is not just the mobile web. I mean apps, because when you look at the statistics, people use their apps 6 times more than using their mobile web. So apps are the main focus of the mobile growth, and there's a reason for that. Apps provide users with a much more better user experience, and this causes the conversions to increase, the engagement to increase. So apps definitely rule the mobile world. But there's a huge problem with the apps. The mobile linking is actually broken. I mean, this is something very simple on desktop. When you click on a link, it takes you where you want to go. And with that link, you can also keep attribution. You can keep some data. You can track your users. And this is standard across the entire web. But however, it is broken on mobile because all the platforms try to come up with their own solutions. I mean, in 2015, Apple launched universal links to help people to deep link into their apps, but they were, a little selfish and used it only on Safari and iOS. And then Google came out with its own solution, and then Chrome came out with its other solution, and now Facebook and Twitter also has their solutions, but this causes a lot of edge cases. When you count them, there are like more than 6,000 edge cases. So it's almost impossible to, develop for all of those situations. Well, thankfully, Branch Link solves that mobile linking problem. Our product works across 6,000 edge cases, and when you click on a branch link, it always works as you intend it to be. And today, most of the big apps are using branch links, like Jet or like Tinder, Pinterest, BuzzFeed. All are using branch links to help their growth. As I said, it's pretty hard to, when you think of mobile apps, they're like a walled garden, and it's almost impossible to attribute user data once they go to the App Store. So how do we fix this? We create these deep links, which are universal, and they work across all the marketing channels, like email marketing, social media advertisement, content sharing. And when you use these links, it drastically improves the growth and the engagement of your product. Most of our partners using Deeplinks has saw a tremendous amount of increase in their downloads. They saw a great increase in their activated users. The people start to share more of their content, and overall this improves their user experience. When we look at our partners, we see that they can increase their signups like more than 180% or 200% on engagement, or they can increase their retention almost 190% more. So let me describe you this with an example. Imagine you have a brilliant idea about an app. So you start working on your app. You spend hours and weeks on designing a good UX. You plan out the features, and then you're ready to launch. And then you go ahead and put your app on the App Store. You build some really nice screenshots. Maybe you take a app description video, do some ASO, and put some really nice keywords that you believe people would search and discover your app. But then, no one downloads your app because discoverability is a huge issue on the mobile ecosystem right now. Every month, more than 50,000 apps are being launched on the App Store. And how the App Store algorithms works is actually pretty bad. They favor the big apps over new apps. So it's hard for you to get some traction and discoverability inside the app stores. And when given with the huge competition, you need to do something different. So your work begins actually not during developing your app, but after developing and launching your app. Developing the app is actually the easy part. After you launch, trying to figure out the growth is the most hard part. But thankfully, your mobile app can work as a growth engine for you. And I will describe some examples on how you can do that using Branch. So what this is the mobile growth cycle. That's what we like to call it. So we believe that there are certain stages for a mobile app to become viral and grow by its own. So, and it starts with awareness. So you use many ways to allow people to find your app. Like you do some maybe paid advertising, you do like some press releases, you do great ASO, or you just use your word of mouth and invite your friends. But awareness doesn't convert into downloads. You also need people to convince them to download your app. Well, after they download it, then you need to get them to activate them, because according to the latest statistics, almost 50% of people who download your app actually doesn't open it at all. So you need to also convince your users that you have a valuable app that they would use over day. So activation is also another issue. And after activation, you need to convince the user to share your app or share the content inside your app so other people sees your app and downloads it. And I'm going to give you some examples on how some of our partners use Branch tools to improve their downloads and retention and activated users. With Branch Deeplinks, you can use web traffic to benefit your app's growth. Just like how you grow a website, you can use Branch Deeplinks to put your content onto the web and grow your apps. A good example of is the Bento app. Bento is an Asian-inspired healthy food delivery app inside the US. And they used our text media app feature, which allows you to put a code on your website to allow people to type in their cell phone numbers and get the download link. And while using this, they improved their click-to-install rates over almost in 50%. And actually, this is a free feature. You can sign up to branch.io today and put this in your website free of charge, and it works globally. So I recommend you do that. Another great example is Jet. Jet is one of the fastest growing e-commerce platforms in the United States, and they're using our smart banners to drive more downloads to their app. smart banners are very similar to Apple's download banners, but they do something different. They allow you to send the user directly into the content they were looking at the web, right into the app. So this also allows people to have a better user experience, and it drives like 3 times more daily downloads for Jet. Another interesting idea to use for your growth is to find an affiliate, like use app-to-app marketing. So how this works is two of some popular apps in the United States, Yumly and Instacart, decided to work together to provide leverage for both of the apps. Now, when you look at a food recipe on Yumly, there is a button right under saying Shop for Ingredients. And when a user clicks on that, it goes to the App Store, finds Instacart, and when he downloads the app, he instantly sees the ingredients inside Yumly app. So by this way, Instacart gains users from Yumly, and Yumly serves a better user experience by allowing their users to buy the ingredients fast and easy. And this app-to-app marketing program worked really well for them. Their 1-week retention increased over 35%. And today, 1 in 10 of the customers of Yumly are actually buying their ingredients from Instacart. This app-to-app marketing is actually tough to nail, so I would suggest you don't force it to your users. Like the app you're partnering with, if the app you're partnering isn't very relevant to your user base, then this model won't work really well. Like, to give a bad example, say you have a photography app, and you decide to partner with a photo printing app. That might not convert into users as you'd hope for, because people who are using your app will be not really interested in printing their apps, printing their photos. Most of the people who use these photo apps are only interested in the digital photos. So make sure you select the right partner that is relevant with your user base. And as with the previous presentation, downloads is a vanity metrics. You shouldn't just focus on downloads, and you should focus on the actionable metrics, the path right after the downloads. When you convince a user to download your app, you also need to activate that user, so that user becomes an active user and engages in your app. To do this, you can use Branch to create personalized welcomes or personalized invitations. The Hotel Tonight app does this brilliantly. Actually, this works pretty similar to how Uber allows people to invite their users. So a user is encouraged to invite his friends to the app by letting both of them to win some awards inside the app. And when he sends the invite to a friend, the friend clicks on the link and immediately receives the gift. And actually, he also sees that which of his friends did invite him to the app. So he doesn't need to enter any promo codes, and the process is very user-friendly, so it improves the user experience, hence increasing your growth. The reward is instantly, awarded to the user right after they download, because you're able to attribute this data into the deep link. Another use of this is custom onboarding. BuzzFeed uses this in a really cool way. So whenever a user shares a content over BuzzFeed, the shared content viewer can see her friend inside the content. And once she downloads the app, she can see who referred him to the app. So this improves the user experience a lot. And giving this personalized touch in your app can hugely increase your engagement. OK, so you managed people to download your app. You activated them with some personalized experiences. Now you need to convince them to share your app. So now you need to find a cool way to get people to share your app. just putting a share button under the content doesn't work. You need to make it relevant to the user experience. Another media app, Close5, does this brilliantly. For their content, they create these automatic links that attribute all the data about the content. It includes the picture, the description, and the deep link goes directly to the content whenever a user clicks it and downloads the app. They don't need to navigate or sign up, they just see the content. And this smooth transition also increases engagement. Another example is The League, which is a much more niche dating app compared to Tinder. The League has a waiting list. When you download the app, they put you on a waiting list to get you inside. But they also encourage you to share the app while you're waiting. And for every user you bring inside while you're waiting, increases your queue on the upper side. So you invite all your friends to go get inside really quick. So this is a really cool tactic, and it worked really well for The League. Another feature on their app is the VIP golden invitation ticket. Once you're inside the dating app, you're allowed to invite one user, so one person, which doesn't have to wait on the waiting list. So this feature also allows people to invite their best friends. It creates lots of buzz around the web, and it increased their downloads immensely. So I talked about the app growth cycle, but how do you measure your performance? How do you understand if your app is going viral? The best way to measure is the simple K factor, or the other name for it is the viral coefficient. So basically, what it means is that it's a number around like 0 to 1.5 or 2. And it means that, like, say your viral coefficient is 1, means that for every user you have in your app, brings another user to your app. So if you have something over 1, which means your app is going viral, and it's pretty good. So how do you calculate your K factor? First, you need to measure the conversion between your downloads to activated users. You need to be able to know how many of your downloads are actually turning into activated users. And then you measure the conversion between these active users to the sharing users. How much of your active users are actually sharing inside your app? And the final step, how many people are downloading your app from these shared content? You measure that conversion as well. And then when you multiply these three, you get a K factor. As I said before, like anything above 1 means that your app is growing viral, but having something around 0.5 to 1 is also actually really good for a startup, I'd say. So to summarize, first you need to measure your download source. As it was described in the previous presentation, attribution is very, very important in determining your growth strategy. So you need to be able to measure the download source. And then you should optimize the welcome according to your audience. And after that, make sharing align with the product. You get your users to share naturally. You shouldn't force it or just leave it as a simple feature. And then you should always iterate. I mean, testing and failing is the simplest and most efficient way of growing an app. So you should always test new ideas, improve on existing ideas, and optimize for the problematic places. So that's about it. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, I'd like to answer. No questions? So you all got virality and branch, how branch works. So I should expect around 100 users to join branch today, huh? Cool. Well, thank you again.